All right, so in my recent video about Google's Pixel 5 announcement, a lot of you guys in the comment section were saying that this was the better phone. A lot of you guys have a preference for the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE over the equivalently priced Google Pixel 5. And if you look on paper, there's a lot of stuff to like about the S20 FE. It's got a faster processor, a faster screen, faster storage, expandable storage. It also has a third camera lens. You can zoom in optically instead of digitally. There's a lot of stuff to like about the S20 FE that the Pixel 5 does not have. Now, the conversation could end there if all you cared about was hardware specs. But I think that the decision between the two, between a Pixel 5 or an S20 FE, lies deeper. All of this stuff is about aesthetics and design and stuff that not everyone cares about. I do, right? That's, if you follow my channel, I care about this stuff a lot. But I think that's one of the things you have to consider if you're interested in these phones. Like, they're both the same price, but one is meant to delight and the other is not. To understand just kind of like the groundwork of what I'm going for, we got to talk about positioning and marketing. If you look at what this phone, the S20 FE, what it represents for Samsung, it's a very different type of phone than what the Pixel 5 represents for Google. So this is Samsung's, like, it's not a budget phone because $700 is still very expensive, but it's more budget friendly option in their premium lineup. It's like, yeah, we got $1,300, $1,400 phones, but we also have this $700 phone. But this phone can't be too good or too cheap, right? If they make this thing too good, then no one else is buying the other phones, right? It has to sit alongside the rest of its brothers. So this is a value-oriented option amongst a sea of premium phones. For Pixels, the Google Pixel 5 represents their best. It's their poster boy. It's their premium flagship, most expensive phone this year. But these differences in positioning for these phones manifest itself into hardware decisions. Like, if you look at the front-facing camera on the S20 FE, do you see how prominent that is? That hole punch camera? It has a silver ring around the element, and it's weird. When you first see it, it's very obvious. It stands out, even with the thing off, right? It made me think, did they do this on purpose? Like, did they intentionally make this ring silver and make this front-facing camera more visibly obvious so that it looks not as clean compared to its brothers? And this goes to other features as well. If you look at the plastic back, like, I have nothing against plastic-backed phones, but this particular back is a very plain, like, if you compare the two. So this is the Note 20, like the plastic-backed kind of basic Note 20. This is not a cheap phone by any means, but you can tell the very obvious difference in aesthetic focus between these two phones, despite them both having plastic backs. And there's, again, nothing wrong with it, right? It's meant to be that way. The S20 FE has to look a certain step down from its brothers. It has to not look too good. With the Pixel 5, however, it's meant to look the best. It's meant to delight. Now, when it comes to cameras, it's gotten to the point where basically every flagship phone has gotten much closer to Pixel's quality than a year ago even. The Pixel 5 uses the same main camera sensor as the previous generations. It's a really good sensor, but it's their software that's doing most of the work, and the pictures that come off Pixel phones are excellent, right? Particularly the difficult shots. Low light stuff, high dynamic range stuff, it just looks so good on Pixel phones. The S20 FE is really close. There is one advantage that I think the Pixel 5 will have, though. It's with ultra-wide photography. So when it comes to ultra-wide shots, the processing with Samsung's phones and basically every phone out there isn't as good, particularly with low-light photography on the ultra-wide lens. Pixels, because this is the first time we're going to see an ultra-wide lens on a Pixel phone, I think they're going to do it better than everyone else with the low-light shots, or like the tough shots. And on this phone, the S20 FE, the ultra-wide with low-light is okay. It's not great. Now, I want to touch on a few other things before I wrap this up. The fingerprint sensor on the FE, it's an optical sensor, it's in display. And I was concerned because I've had poor experiences with optical sensors, but this one seems quite good. It's fast, it's reliable, and even a week later, I've had no drift with accuracy on this particular sensor, at least with my finger or fingerprint. Another thing, battery life. So this has a great battery life. I'm hitting like 8.5, almost 9 hours of screen on time consistently. The Pixel 5, it's a smaller battery, but it's a smaller phone. So I imagine battery life would be quite similar between the two. In terms of software, I think that Samsung's One UI will never be as clean or as simple as Google's version of Android, right? It can't be. Samsung has so many more features in their phones, but not everyone appreciates that stuff. Not everyone wants that stuff. So if you want just the cleanest and leanest software possible, I'd probably push you more towards Pixels. But the point I'm trying to make is that this phone, or just any phone, it's not just about specs, right? If it was, we'd all just be using $300 phones from China with Snapdragon 10,000s in them. But clearly it's not. There's the decision for this kind of purchase decision it's more nuanced. There's things like how it feels in your hand, how it looks, how it appeals to different people. So to the people that were in the comments, that this is the better phone, for sure. It could be for certain people, but it's not for everyone, right? But personally, I think the S20 FE is an amazing phone. It exceeded my expectations because of its price point, but it's got to sit along the shelf with the rest of the Galaxy lineup, right? So it can't look too good, especially in the aesthetics department. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.